are to play.
Hello and welcome to Press the Action Button. Numan here, and today I'm flying solo as my co-host and brother, in that order, has unfortunately contracted COVID-19 or something similar, so I've decided there's no better opportunity than now for me to do my own show. No. There's no better opportunity than now for me to put out a video that is near and dear to my own heart, and that is why I love Super Mario 64 so much, and why to me it's probably the greatest video game ever. Now, I know what you're thinking. Numan, you bafflingly handsome fount of obscure gaming sound effect knowledge and connoisseur of terrible platformers, surely you of all people know that there were several 3D games upon which Mario 64 built upon, such as iRobot on the Atari, Sega Saturn's Bug, and Jumping Flash on the PS1. Listen, I can't argue with that, but what I would say is that in my opinion, no predecessor was as ambitious, as influential, or just as joyous as Mario 64 was for me. So, ready yourselves. Just a caveat on the outset, I'm no expert on Mario 64, or on any game for that matter, but what I do know is why I love this so much, and I hope to share that with you. So from the moment I was dropped into this game, I was just struck by the beautifully vivid colours and the freedom of Mario's movement. It just seemed incredible that first time I plugged in the cart and loaded up the game. And the triple jump, it just has to be one of the most enjoyable movements in gaming history. Although recently I have enjoyed Kratos' Leviathan axe throw. But anyway, Mario's leaps paired with Charles Martinet's joyous performance, voicing him, and you have a recipe that is just honestly gaming perfection to me. And I will talk a little bit more about Charles later on because he's so important to the story. But the castle courtyard itself, I mean, it's just so bright that you can hear the sounds of birds chirping and fluttering around. It's the kind of area I still get excited just loading it up and running around for a while. The whole idea of a hub world castle leading to other levels within the game really created a desire for me for exploration, and the paintings inside, they reinforce a sort of dreamlike feeling to the whole experience. It's just a magical game. Bomb on Battlefield, what can I say? This is my favourite level in any game, honestly. The layout of this level just draws you into the will for exploration and adventure with little to no threat from the enemies around you. Actually, it's something that Mario 64 seems to do throughout the whole game. Don't get me wrong, there are enemies that can irritate at times, but it really seems like a purposeful move from Miyamoto in that the primary focus seems to be that of the player's experience of joy and immersion. And it's the apt soundtrack to this level that works as the perfect complement to those ends. Koji Kondo has just done an incredible job with this. Have a listen to this and tell me that this is not just joy, exploration and fun in song form. At the risk of sounding childish and a little naive, there is something else about this level that I love so much. Call it nostalgia, call it being at an age where I was when I first played this game, but it's almost somehow like a safe space. I know exactly what I'm getting here, I know the rules, I know the world, and I know the joy that is available here just waiting to be experienced. Listen, I know life just isn't like that, I'm old enough to know that, but that's the whole point. The game is a colourful, joyous space where you can just come and experience it for a short time and then get back to real life. There's enough real life left for us once you put the pad down. And listen, I'm saying that as a fan of orc slaying and archdemon hunting in your typical high fantasy lands that are always overcast and grey, but that's not what I come to Mario 64 for. I guess in a way it's sort of like professional wrestling. Fans all know what it is, but that still doesn't take away from their enjoyment of it. In fact, it's a space where they come and they intentionally suspend their normal thinking mechanisms to just let go and enjoy it, and that's what Mario 64 is to me. Another thing that this game does incredibly well is contrast. So it contrasts the difficulty and limitations of having to climb up a whole mountain or fort by foot, and then it suddenly throws the ability to fly to you or to speed along the back of a Koopa shell. It's like the whole level is there, and once you understand its scale and its limitations and your own limitations, it then pulls away the curtain and lets you explore in an entirely new, fluid and liberating way. I guess it's made me think, like, why do people like video games in the first place? I suppose for one, you know the rules of engagement, you know the sandbox the world lives within, you know that your work will inevitably likely pay off. There's a general sense of justice and fairness, and what lies on top of that is something that rests even deeper in the human heart, which is that desire for the spirit of adventure. I mean, I'm sure someone's invented a game where you just sit on the couch, go to the gym, dance while your kitchen's on fire, cut the virtual grass, go to work and then go to sleep for a bit. But the games that really tend to grip me are the ones where I get swept away into a purpose that's greater than me, to either right or wrong, or to discover something within the character that needs to come out through experience, suffering, or just some kind of struggle. Now I hear you saying, "But Numan, you alluring yet misinformed, contradictory fool, haven't you followed the laughably facile story in this case? Peach had sent Mario a letter inviting him to the castle for cake when Mario discovers Bowser has invaded and imprisoned her, and I say, look, sometimes all you need to flicker that flame into a fire is a giant anthropomorphic fire-breathing turtle, king to a race of bipedal tortoises to steal your girlfriend, to which your only means of righting the wrong and returning balance to the universe is to collect 120 celestial beings and find that the friendly missing dinosaur has been on the roof all along." Anyway, this is another example of some absolutely gorgeous music. It just transmits you right into the level, right under the water. It's so relaxing, you have to remind yourself that you're here to do something. Or maybe you're not supposed to at all. I also just want to spend a moment or two talking about this game and how it was streets beyond simply being a product of its time. For many, this was our first true experience of a 3D platformer with 360-degree movement and an independently controlled camera. It's truly incredible. Even more than 25 years after its release, Nintendo still don't have to make any apologies for how it plays. Mario's movement is incredibly fluid, responsive and quick. Everything is just a joy to execute. I mean, what's not to like about a guy that small being able to jump that high? And to make so many enjoyable sounds while doing it. Which brings me back to Charles Martinet. He just absolutely nails it with Mario, and we owe him a lot as to how we now think of Mario in our heads. Honestly, to me, Martinet was meant to be the voice of Mario as much as Messi is meant to play football. It's just perfect. He's probably even better than David Hayter at Snake, and Hayter was good. Gabby Hayes good. In speaking about his work in a few lines, I think we can gather how much it meant to Martinet. He said, "The character for me brings out the best in me. You just have fun, that's my mantra for life. I want to be more like this character, full of joy and happiness and fun and courage. I'm the luckiest guy in the world. It can never get old. I will love doing this until I'm 147. Do what you want to do. There's a whole world of happiness waiting for you when you're committed to your own happiness and joy." So look, you may have noticed a bit of a theme building here, and I can perhaps summarise why I love Mario 64 in one three-letter word, and that is joy. From the level design, to the music, to the colours, to the subtle star riddles, the voiceovers, the movements, the challenges, it's all very outside of our own world, and it's all very encompassed within this abiding sense of fun and joy. The game doesn't try to be anything other than what it is. It's a colourful and joyous world to explore and experience. From what I know of Miyamoto's stellar work, I'd almost believe that everything the guy touches will turn to gold, because from his own words, what he ended up delivering with Mario and Nintendo in a broader sense is exactly what he intended to do, and it's that immersion, that sense of fun, play and joy. In an interview with Time magazine, Miyamoto said, "I want people to feel like they are really playing inside the game world, and I want them to be able to control Mario in a way that feels natural and intuitive." In another interview with The Guardian, he said, "For me, a video game is something that should be enjoyed by everybody. It should be something that gives people pleasure and makes them happy." I think he's nailed his colours to the mast here in that statement, and we've seen it time and time again in the ethos and philosophy Nintendo hold as a company. They see games as places they want to be to get pleasure and be happy. You might think that's a pretty obvious motive, but I'm not so sure. Many games try to draw you in with the challenge or adventure or social interaction or the prospect of leveling up and growing stronger, but Nintendo and Mario 64 want you to have fun and to be happy, and I think that is one of the things that Nintendo does better than anybody. There's almost a childlike sense of play and exploration, and no one does it like them. I've heard Miyamoto make 2 off-the-cuff remarks that I found really revealing as to his belief system when it comes to Mario and Nintendo. One was, it's a trend, and I tend to avoid all trends, and I'm the kind of person who doesn't want to be told to do something because that's the way to do it. That to me is why Mario 64 has such a strong sense of what it is and what it wants to be. There's this very purposeful philosophy in play here, and it's not complex, it really doesn't have to be. I guess for me, playing Mario 64 is almost like, as an adult, still being able to sneak into a soft play zone for kids and maybe stop needing to be so serious, intense about life, and just for a moment allow myself to get lost into the exhilaration of the ride and really not care about who's watching. And that, my friends, is why I love Super Mario 64. And with that, I'll leave you with a couple of seconds of Mario flying around in some clouds. I really don't think any commentary is necessary here, it just speaks for itself. Until next time guys, bye!